Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at how we do a VCT delete and run on a single mapped point if we're installing aftermarket set of camshafts that gets rid of the VCT function. So this is going to be more for a race application. It's not going to be for a typical street car, but it is something that you may run into and need to know how to program. Let's jump in here and open up a stock file, and we're going to talk about the areas that we need to change. I have a template applicator file that we're going to bring in and overwrite on top of our file so that we go in and have the corrected VCT scheduling. But there is a couple other details that need to account for, and that's going to be using an Excel spreadsheet calculator to enter in corrected values for the opening and closing valve events so that things like our direct injection can make sure it's injecting properly and staying within the confines of where the intake and valve opening and closing events are happening. So let's jump in here and let's open up a stock file, and then we'll talk about what we need to do for modification. It's pretty simple. I also have a sample data log to take a look at what this will look like if you set up everything here and you're able to run your engine and what we need to do. So let's go in and take a look. We're going to go here to File, Open. I'm going to go ahead and open up a stock equivalent file. I'm in the sample calibration file subfolder in our Gen 3 training course main folder. Let's go ahead and open up that file we've been working with all throughout the training course. Let's just do this 2019 Mustang GT stock. Okay, we see the file's been open. So we're going to go over here into our engine tab, and we're going to move over here from airflow over into variable camshaft. Now, if we want to go in, delete the VCT, we do still need the VCT solenoids plugged in and present. So we don't want to get rid of those. We don't want to have all the other problematic fault codes that may be a result of going in and essentially turning off and trying to bypass or delete the solenoids with those still in place. But we want to go in here and set up the VCT scheduling so we're only commanding a single map point, and it's going to do exactly what we want for programming. There's a bunch of different ways we can handle this in terms of how we set things up, but I'm going to show you what I have successfully done in the past to get things locked into a single mapped point and not throw any fault codes or do any strange behavior. So if you have you're calling out some odd things within the programming, you may find that as a result of doing something and deviating from what I'm showing in here, you may find that your torque source might be doing something funny, or your spark source may start to do something funny. It doesn't ride on borderline. It may start to go into some kind of a limp mode failsafe. So what I show here works, and I will demonstrate in a data log when we're done what it looks like in the log and what you should expect. So let's go in here. We're going to jump up into Edit. We're going to go into our template applicator, and I'm going to go ahead and do Open Tune Template. And let's go in here to this is in our training course, so HBT Gen 3 training course folder, template file subfolder, and then now we're going to be looking for, in this case, our VCT delete. So let's go ahead and grab this file. Let's click Open, and let's go ahead and apply our changes. Now, we can see it changes a decent amount of things. So let's go ahead and close this out, and we can see what has actually been changed. So taking a look at this, we're going to go into our map points configuration, and we have our 0 to 26 map points plus OP, which we don't typically use. We're going to find we just turn on mapped point 0. So everything will be called out in just map point 0. That's going to be for spark. That's going to be for torque table. That's going to be for our speed density. So we're not using any other tables. It greatly simplifies calibrating and tuning your engine control module, but we are limited to that single mapped point. So that's what we're going to be working with here. Let's go ahead and close this out. If we take a look at our snap to point, we're going to go and zero out everything in the snap to point except our map point 0. Going in here to snap to line, we're going to zero out every single thing in the snap to line. We don't need that flow of logic in the XY space or being able to essentially draw a line or a path of movement because we're not moving the cam. So therefore we can zero it all out. Taking a look here, everything else in our lookup tables. So we have our distance tables. Looking here, our distance tables should all be zeroed out for all of the modes: drivability, economy, optimal stability, and then emissions reduction and manual launch are already zeroed out. We can see that those are all zeroed out. And then the lookup tables here are also going to be set. So anything we call out in the distance table will be looked up over here in the number, and it'll all be referencing mapped point 0. It's very important that we set this all correctly because we will still be transitioning through the variable cam scheduling modes. So meaning we'll still fire up the engine, it'll go into emissions reduction, it'll go into optimal stability, it'll go into the fuel economy mode, best drivability, and into optimal power. So it's still going to transition through all the modes. Even with the VCT deleted, that's fine. We do need it to do that. We still need it to go and transition through everything so that everything functions correctly in the programming logic within the engine control module. So if we start going in and telling it that we only want it to ride on, let's say, best drivability or fuel economy using our load tables here, that can do some odd things with our spark timing and our torque calculations. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.